Today, we dive into how to set up paid memberships on your blog, how live events can grow your business, and just exactly how can you create custom spice blends to sell directly to your fans. Next on Makin Bacon. Hey there, I'm Jason Logston, and this is Makin Bacon. We're all about helping you serve your fans, grow your income, and get the most out of your blog. Today's episode is brought to you by my very own self-publishing 101 course. You can check that out at makethatbacon.com/publish now. And the average home cook owns almost 50 times more printed cookbooks than PDF cookbooks. So why are you limiting yourself? With the advent of print-on-demand companies like Amazon KDP and Ingram Spark, it's now easier than ever to become your own publisher. But if you don't know what you're doing, you can waste not only your time, but also your money. I've done that in the past. And that's where my video course comes in, stepping you through the entire self-publishing process. I've self-published 12 different cookbooks, so I can kind of answer a lot of the questions that come up along the way and prepare you for what to expect. Again, you can check that out at makethatbacon.com/publish now. Now, on to the show. As bloggers, we love to use spices, and we know our fans do as well. So it's a natural leap to try to sell our own blends directly to our own fans. But how the heck does that work? And where do you get started? Luckily, today's guests are the perfect people to help us out. They run the wildly successful barbecue and grilling website, Hey Grill Hey. They also sell a line of Hey Grill Hey branded products and run an online barbecue course called The Grill Squad. I can't wait to learn from today's guests, Susie and Todd Bulloch from Hey Grill Hey. Susie and Todd, welcome to Makin Bacon.
Hey, thanks so much for having
Hey
us.
guys.
So I can't wait to dive into all things spices and memberships. But before we get started, I always like to ask, what is it like around your dinner table on a typical day?
Typical day depends, man. Typical is always atypical in our house because on filming days, we have a buffet. You can choose from any one of 6 things, or if I'm recipe testing, you could have anything from scallops to smoked ribs to, whatever I managed to pull off of the grill or the smoker that day. But other nights we have 3 kids. So dinner time, we love to sit around the dinner table. That's something that's been a priority for us for our whole marriage and the whole time we've had kids. So yeah, family friendly food happens a lot around our house.
It's been fun recently. She's, been signing up for a few different classes at a local gym, like spin classes and yoga and things. And so she's kind of put it on me to get dinner on the table, which has been fun for me to kind of, I cook basic stuff. It's basically steak and asparagus usually, or just.
I will tell you though, the kids request Todd's mac and cheese over mine, which is I feel like one of my great failings in life, but but they love it.
My wife is a Kraft mac and cheese lover, and so she likes pretty much everything that I do, but I will make fancy mac and cheese, and she's like, this is good and very tasty. You could have just spent 10 minutes and made me Kraft mac and cheese, and I would have been happier. So
No, mine's literally boiled noodles, and then you put milk over it, and then grated cheese, salt and pepper, and then I throw it in the microwave. That's like a sin to melt the cheese. The kids love it.
I don't know, but it has been fun actually, because I feel like I've carried the lion's share of, meal time prep for a lot of years. So it's been fun having him take over in the kitchen a couple nights a week.
Force him into it a little bit. So I'm a huge fan of creating products to sell to people's fans. It's something I talk about all the time, and that I really did a lot to monetize my own blog. And outside of cookbook publishing, the one thing I get asked about the most is creating spices or sauces and how that works. And I have no experience doing that. That's one of the few things I've never done on my own. So I'd love to dive into this process. What products do you currently have for sale on your site?
Oh, is that me? We have 3 flavors of rubs and 4 flavors of sauces. And then we have within the seasoning rub genre, there's 3 different sizes. There's a smaller 6-ounce, medium size 11-ounce jar, and then we have a 2-pound bag. Basically, I don't know how that got started. Was we literally had people asking. So one of her most popular posts is her sweet rub post, which is just a basic sweet barbecue rub you use on pulled pork, ribs, chicken. And people were literally asking her, will you please bottle this and sell it? Because we're sick of making it all the time.
We were making huge batches of this at home every week. We would really love to just have it prepared and ready to go.
And we wanted that too. That sounded like
Yeah,
fun.
it sounded easier for me also. So I actually presented the idea to Todd and said, people are really asking for this. Do you think we could branch out into selling our own products? And he said,
no. Not that I didn't think we could do it, just that I have a background in accounting and dealing with inventory, and it's just a giant nightmare. So I didn't want to deal with inventory as all. But.
And
inventory terrifies me, I have to say.
Inventory is definitely it's definitely a roadblock that we have had to overcome, stepping into the physical product space versus a digital product or a print on demand product or even a membership subscription, which I know we're going to talk about a little bit today. And so it was a hurdle to get started a little bit, but we started slow and figured it out. And anyway, yeah, we can dive into it. But that's kind of what kicked us off, was that one landmark seasoning blend for that sweet rub. And we even thought nobody's going to buy it. The recipe is free. Why would anybody buy this thing when you literally, it's not, barbecue specifically. People will go to their graves protecting the secret ingredients of their spice blends. And I'm all, yeah, ours is just on the internet. Like you could just have it. But it's our top selling product still.
It's amazing. And I think that's a great way to like approach product creation. When people say like, well, I don't know what type of product to do. It's like, what is your fans asking you for? In this case, they're like, I want you to bottle this. And it's like, well, I need to at least consider it. And then you can kind of weigh the pros and the cons. So you came up with 3 other spice blends too. I feel like I use so many different spices and I never go to the same thing. How did you narrow it down to be like, these are the 3 and, not kind of want to do 5 or 10 different blends?
Before we went super crazy, we actually did our research. And part of that was because I had to convince Todd that this was a good idea because I knew he was going to be taking on the lion's share of the workload for this product company. And he does. He is CEO, owner, mind, chief officer for the product company. And I kind of manage our content business at Hey Grill Hey, and I run the blog on that side. And there's a lot of carryover, but he was going to be taking on a lot of work. And so I had to really deep dive into how this would work, what it would look like. And we set up several phone calls with people who were already doing what we wanted to do. So we've reached out to, connections we had made in the space, friends who we saw were doing what we wanted to do and were in places that we wanted to go, and said, hey, can we hop on a phone call and just see like where you're at and how you got there? And a lot of the initial advice we received was, every product you introduce is a big expense because you have to run the product. There's minimum order quantities. You have to design the labels and refine the recipes and all of these steps to get to a physical food product being made. And so we had to keep it pretty tight. And I just thought, what would be the biggest workhorses? Can I create varied flavors enough that there's variety, but can I keep it tight enough that people will go to them over and over and over again? So our sweet rub is sweet rub. Our second rub is a beef rub. And our third rub is a chicken rub. And those were intentionally designed and marketed to utilize on a specific protein, but they're versatile enough in terms of flavor profiles that they can carry over to a lot of other things.
I love that point about talking to people that are already doing it. Like spending 3 months on an ebook or something, you might waste 3 months. But when you're putting out a financial investment into a physical product, if that fails, then you are on the hook for all that money. It's a lot bigger risk, and making sure that you know what you're doing makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
What type of considerations were there? You mentioned going through the different trade-offs and what you needed to know going into it. What are some of those things that someone that's out there says, I have a spice blend, my fans are asking me for this, like I'm considering it. What do they need to know before they go into this so they don't have to just pick up the phone and call you?
I think the first thing that comes to my mind is, I was kind of thinking you got to think of cost a little bit, because we had one of my friends owned a co-packing facility and he offered to help us out. So he helped us source bottles and caps and then even all the seasonings, and then helped us get it blended and bottled and boxed up and ready to go. So
And
he
a
kind of,
co-packing facility does kind of like all the packaging of the product. Is that correct?
Correct.
yep. So, and most co-packing facilities will you'll just give them your product and then they'll package it all up for you. But he helped us
Blend the spices,
find all the individual things from,
source
yeah,
ingredients.
and then blend it all up for us and bottle it. And he was really helpful. And there was an investment to pay him for his time on that. And so I think you just need to go into it knowing, you know, if you break even or lose a little money on your first batch, like that's pretty par for the course, I think, in my opinion, just to get those development costs going and get the product going. And you're also probably going to do a low quantity batch, and then that makes the cost per bottle higher. So yeah, we did that. We made 500 of each flavor in the smaller 6-ounce version, and we
Just as a test run,
Yeah.
essentially, to
And we-
see if they would sell. And I would say the consideration was, you know, can we drop this cash for
Yep.
this minimum order through a professional co-packer? And how many would we have to sell to make that money back so that we at least break even on the first run, just as a test to see if our audience wanted it. But like Todd said, we did 500 of each to start, which I think is, you know, it's a lot. And most people that want to dip their toes into the space might not go straight to a co-packer. And in that circumstance, if you say, oh, even that's like a lot for me, I don't want to go that big just to start. Look into local cottage license laws in your state. Every state is a little bit different and has different regulations regarding cottage laws where you can actually home bottle. So if you make a big batch and you bottle and process a seasoning blend specifically because it doesn't have, you know, refrigeration time or certain things like that, and you follow your local legislative restrictions in terms of what you have to put on the labels, like this was made at home, you can start selling to your audience. You can start selling on farmers markets. You can sell, you know, to your friends and family just as kind of a test way to get your foot in the door and say, is there really an interest? Because it's one thing for your audience to say, we want this. It's another thing to get them to give you money for it. And I know a lot of people who started blogging and want to step into asking your audience to buy. They're two very different things. And blog readers love free stuff. And training them to be buyers from you is a little bit of a task. So I think, you know, we went into the co-packer space because we had a friend that was willing to help us out. And that was a real big leg up for us. But people who are starting out at home, and I do have people reach out and call me and say, hey, I want to get started. What do I do? And that's my first recommendation. Look into cottage license laws in your state. Make a small batch at home. Go to a local farmer's market or a local food show because they're popping up every summer, you know, every weekend over the summer now, and actually sell your product. And you got to believe in your product a lot to be able to sell it in person and online. And this will give you a good, like, okay, we did it. We sold some. Do I want to keep doing this? And is this a viable revenue source for me? Because you can actually track some numbers there on a smaller scale.
I love that idea of coming up with really a proof of concept that you can perfect your blend. You can get it in actual people's hands. You can say, are you willing to give me physical cash for this? When a lot of people, like you're saying, be like, oh, I would love to buy your spice blend. And then you're like, okay, here it is. It's $10. And they're like, nah, never mind now.
But I can go to the store and get McCormick for $1.
Yes, you can. You can pick up McDonald's on the way and not make any of my recipes. It would be perfect. So when it comes to labeling, how do you come up with like your brand? What's important to put on your package? I know there's some legal things that have to go on depending on your location, but just from informing the consumers, what do you kind of lean towards?
This makes me laugh. Do you want to start?
We're in the middle of doing some rebranding. So we're redesigning, you know, our colors and our logos and all that stuff, and then having to redo all the labels. And it was, so the first rendition was super simple because we didn't know what to expect. So we
didn't know if we could sell product.
Yeah.
This, like I said, our first test run, I know 500 sounds like a lot, but we were all, we'll just go for it and see what we can sell.
So those are the ones that we're stuck with, and now they're getting thrown up on grocery store shelves, and I see them and I'm like, oh, don't. I mean, they're fine, but they're not popping, you know. So that's why we're laughing, is because literally just today I signed everything to get the new labels printed, and it was just a huge laborious process because we hired a designer who has some heavy background in like restaurant and label and different kind of designs. So yeah, we've shelled out some cash to really dial it in now.
But we did start with
yeah,
super scrappy.
super
I think we
cheap.
found a designer on a referral, and it was like $100
Yeah,
or
it was
something to
nothing.
design all of our labels. Like you could technically get them done on Fiverr.
Yep.
You can make your own on Canva. There are actually label printers all over the place. You know, a lot of small print shops exist in most communities. And so we found somebody 10 minutes from our house that printed our first round of labels and did a great job. And so, you know, we did get scrappy, but we had to we had to learn a lot. There probably were easier ways for us to learn things, but we spent a lot of time researching like what do you need on a label. And, you know, we learned about nutrition facts and what the most up-to-date format for nutrition facts were and how to get those on our labels.
UPC codes.
Yeah, we learned about UPC codes and how to install UPC codes on a label and what size they need to be in the numbering process. And all of those things like were steps that we had to learn, but all of them were pretty simple. It was just we looked up what do you need on a label and checked the boxes to make sure that we could get it done. I think it's definitely something that is DIY doable because we did.
Yeah, and there's I can't think of the software online, but it's like a government provided online software
Yep.
that you can go in and put in your exact recipe, volumes and everything that makes up your recipe, and they'll spit out the nutrition facts panel and the ingredients for you. So it's pretty nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And I love that you I think it's a great message. And whenever you're doing products or services or probably even blog posts, that it's like getting something out there is more important than spending several $1,000s to get the label before you even know if anyone's ever going to buy this stuff.
And you can print labels at home, man. You really can. If you're doing farmers market stuff, use your own printer and tape them on. Like you really can get started as scrappy as you want to with product.
Yeah, and we just learned redoing our nutrition facts panels that for the last 2 years we've had some inconsistent and incomplete and incorrect information on our nutrition facts panels. So
now they're all getting fixed.
They're getting fixed. So and
no
one called us and said they were going to sue us and got mad at us. Like, I don't know. So
it wasn't anything like
it wasn't malicious,
health or dangerous.
Yeah.
It was just a grams issue, like a weight issue in terms of the anyway.
So don't be afraid to make mistakes. It's fine.
No one cares if you put the wrong ingredient label on it. It's completely fine.
No, the ingredients were correct.
How did you go about figuring out pricing? I know there's, you need to cover your costs and you can build in what your expenses are and what you have to charge for it. But how do you figure out what type of profit to build in, how much more to charge, where to position yourself kind of in the market from McCormick's up through, more expensive kind of custom spice companies?
We did a couple of things. So we looked at what was currently on the market and, the price points that we wanted to hit. And we specifically looked at products that we looked up to and admired because I really believe pricing is a self-esteem issue more than anything. Because if you want to make things real cheap and price them real cheap, you can. If you want to price yourself and your products very high, you can. And we decided to go for that upper edge of like a craft product because that's what we wanted to manufacture. So we wanted to source materials that were of good quality. We wanted to cut preservatives and not use high fructose corn syrup and no MSG or, we really had some high standards for our products and we wanted to price them accordingly. So we looked at current products on the market that were kind of presenting the same messaging that we were and saw what their price points were at. And we also looked at our margins. How much is it going to cost us to manufacture this? How much is it going to cost us to ship this? How much is it going to cost us to warehouse this? And we made some projections and that's kind of how we arrived at our price point. But it wasn't an exact like math equation. It really was kind of this self-esteem thing. Like, can our products hang with these really high-end craft items? And we felt like they could.
I love that approach to it. And pricing is always something that having priced probably 50 different products at this point, I still have no idea what I'm doing when it comes to pricing and like how to get started. And it is shocking how much price, like it sends messages too, that if you price yourself too low because you want more people to buy it, you could be sending the message that you're a low quality ingredient, even if you're not at the bottom. And I ran into that with my whipping siphon cookbook. It was a shorter book. So I was like, I'm going to charge less for this. I still make like $4 or $5 per book. So I'll charge, I think it was like $12 or $13. And we had some good sales, but not great. And I was like, I'm just going to increase the price because, if I get twice the profit and I sell half as many, I'm still making the same amount. So might as well do it. And sales went up because people looked at a $19 book and they're like, well, that's probably a valuable book. And they looked at, a $12 book. They're like, no, might not be a valuable book, so they wouldn't buy it. So they'd rather spend more money for my book, and worked out better for me.
Yeah, it's all about value. I think true value and perceived value, because if you overprice and you don't deliver on quality or you don't deliver on value, you're not going to have repeat customers. You're going to have upset customers. And so you do want to convey truly what your product is worth, and then you have to follow through on that, because you can believe that your product is the best product out there and it should be a $45 bottle of barbecue sauce. But if somebody gets it home and it doesn't taste like liquid gold is pouring into their mouths for $45 a bottle, they're probably not going to buy it again. So it is about conveying the value, but it's also about delivering that to your audience.
And my wife and I have conversations like that. We live in Brooklyn, and so there's a lot of good restaurants, and we'll go to some and we'll be done and be like, that was a good meal, and we were fine paying what we did for it, but it wasn't worth what we paid. Like there's other places that charge the same, like the value's there, but they delivered on the promise they were making about it being a good experience. Exactly. And I think that's a really good way to view it, especially as you were saying, like you put out, a limited amount of blends that you were hoping people would continue to rebuy. Like you needed the people that spent money on it when they got it in their hands to be like, okay, I'm going to use this every time I cook, and I'm going to buy another bottle right away, and I'm going to give it to all my friends.
Yep. And that's the goal, especially with consumable products, is, if they don't come back, like how many people can you get the first time? Like repeat buyers are a real asset to a product company.
Yeah, it's when you start dealing with fans, it's really over delivering on what you promise is just been the biggest thing that I've found that drives all future success. We have our sous vide conference coming out, and we have people that have already purchased tickets to attend it virtually this year, and we haven't announced the lineup yet because they've gone to the previous ones and they're like, I don't care who's going to go. It's going to be a great time. I'm in. And like, once you build that trust, like you don't want to ruin it.
No.
Do you two have a favorite sauce that you put out, or do you fight over the sauces?
It changes.
Yeah.
Our favorite right now, we're actually releasing a new sauce here in just a few weeks. And I think that one has been our favorite recently. We can't stop. And that one was the most work. It took me a month and a half in development to get it to where I wanted it. Just cooking it over and over and over again. So I think that one's the favorite right now. But of the sauces that we currently have released, I think my favorite is the whiskey peach.
Whiskey peach, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I like we have it's just called everything sauce. It's like a Kansas City molasses based sauce, and that's probably my favorite. Always will be. It's just really simple. And I'm really picky with barbecue sauces, so she made these for me because
I did. He would not eat store-bought barbecue sauce. There was not a single store-bought barbecue sauce that he would happily consume, and so I had to get to work. And turns out he just really hates liquid smoke. So all of our barbecue sauces, they don't have any liquid smoke. They're designed to go with barbecue, not make random food taste like barbecue with the fake smoke, the hickory or mesquite.
I like that distinction that it's not to emulate barbecue. It's to be used when you are barbecuing.
Barbecue, exactly.
Yeah, it's an enhancement.
Yep.
And you had me at whiskey and peaches, so I think that's I might have to order one of those to give it a try.
I will send you some. Don't worry about it.
Appreciate that. I'll write about it for sure.
There you go.
Shifting gears, you run the Grill Squad. A lot of people talk about doing courses and memberships for their fans. Can you talk a little bit about what the Grill Squad is?
Sure. We've been running the Grill Squad now for 3 years, I believe. And it actually started kind of preemptively to selling our own product line because I know you talk a lot about kind of getting off the ad network wheel, and we have a front row seat to that. So, first and foremost, I'm a content company and I run a food blog. And a majority of that revenue was coming from an ad network. And every month we were seeing, different amounts of revenue, different it was, a lot of inconsistencies there. And we just kept hearing from a lot of business professionals, multiple streams of income. And so I thought, why don't we give kind of some insider access to people? Because lots of questions come in about barbecue. It's very technical to cook certain things. I'm sure you're familiar with sous vide, very similar. And, more information than I think you could just share in a quick video or in a blog post. So I thought, I really want to give these people that in-depth knowledge that they're asking for, that they're messaging me about all the time or leaving comments on the website where it's just a recipe. They want more. So we filmed, several videos that were 20 to 30 minutes and accompanied by workbooks, and there were added benefits to being a member. You get discounts. Well, later we added, you get discounts on all of our products now. So there's kind of this built-in membership perk. There's a private Facebook group you can join where you can ask us questions directly. And we're, a lot more available than you can be just on a regular social media platform where hundreds of DMs get lost
And
in the fray.
We've found that that's the number one reason for people buying in and sticking around. I guess probably the meat masterclass videos that we have, but that's going to be our new selling point. And we hate it because we don't want to feel like we're, important or on a pedestal or whatever. But so followers have that instant access to Susie and to just be a part of her community. Like that's why people buy into it and want to be there, which is interesting.
I love that point about a lot of food bloggers forget that the reason why people are coming to our blogs is because we are a huge deal to them. Like we might not be, I like to say I'm a really, really big deal to a really, really small number of people.
We feel that.
Yeah. But to them, like they want to talk to us. They want to hang out with us, and providing an outlet to build that trust, to have that sense of community, I think is a great way to promote a membership site or promote hands-on cooking classes, things that allow a smaller select group of people to really kind of get to know you a little bit better when you're still talking about whatever your subject is.
Right. And, so we knew we wanted to create this course, and we really wanted to give people that opportunity to hang out with us and to, join. We wanted our squad. That's what we called it, the Grill Squad. Like these are our people. We want to hang out. Like these were the people we'd weekend chill with and barbecue. And, we wanted that feeling. And so, yeah, it has courses, and we built in a lot of value to the membership itself. But I really do think the biggest perk is just that direct access. And we looked into Patreon, and we looked into, Facebook fan subscriptions or YouTube fan subscriptions. And ultimately we decided we wanted to, host it on our own. So right now we're using a platform called Podia that allows us to, pay a small monthly fee, but keep everything else instead of a percentage of membership sales like you would on, other owned platforms like Patreon. But it has been really a valuable tool for us above and beyond having the additional income, which is nice. It has really given us a direct line to our buyers, the people who are our biggest fans, who have already given us money for their Grill Squad membership. And generally they buy our products at a very high rate. So we give them sneak peeks to new products. We give them early access to new products. And we get their feedback, and that feedback is so incredibly valuable. We use their feedback to shape our purchases, to help us decide what new products to roll out. We put out a poll in the Grill Squad and asked, what products do you guys want to see from us next? And their top choices are what we're rolling out this year with our new product selection. So it's been a really symbiotic relationship, I feel like, and we really benefit from having them in our community, and we strive to provide a benefit to them as well.
I love that idea of relying on that community to get feedback and kind of direction for the company. That, yeah, you can put a poll on Instagram and that's like a great way to build engagement, but those are just random opinionated people on Instagram that are giving you their opinion. Like when you have something that people are paying for, these are people that are already giving you money. They're probably the people that are, well, if they say I want a product, are probably going to follow through and give you money for
Yeah.
the product.
They're invested and they're committed. And so, yeah, I think having that platform has really been a benefit to us. And I think above and beyond, initially it started out as, hey, let's see if we can build in some passive income, or let's see if we can generate another revenue stream. But it's become a lot more than that. And we have really been happy that we built that.
I love the including the people in like your process too, the development process of like, try this or how does this sound?
Yeah.
Because that does build those connections so much that they're like, I'm a part of this. Like I
Oh,
am a
yeah.
member of Hey Grill Hey now. Like,
And we do monthly live videos with them, and we talk to them, this is kind of what's going on in our lives. How are you guys? We talk about upcoming holidays and what are we cooking for our families, and we give them really like insider information and tips. And anyway,
They ask questions in the comments, and we can answer them directly right then and there, and
Yep.
kind of help coach them along with whatever they're going to be cooking for that upcoming holiday or whatever we're talking about. So.
Yeah, that's great.
if someone's interested in kind of starting something like this, you have a lot of different kind of components going on in yours. Where do you recommend that they start with? Is it like a private group? Is it a single course? Like, what do you think makes sense for, again, someone to dip their toes in the water and give this a try?
Again, just like with products, I would say, what is your audience asking for? What do they want? These are your people and they will give you cues. So ours started because our audience wanted more in-depth information than I could give them in a blog post or an Instagram DM. And so, I said, hey, we should really film a long video for, brisket, for example. And then it went, how do we sell that to people? Like, how do we make it worth it? Because if we're going to record a 30+ minute video and create a digitally designed PDF, like that's going to cost us money to produce. So we have to charge for it. What does that look like? And that kind of led us down the path of building the Grill Squad as it is now. But it all started with the idea of people asking us, we need more information about this. And how can I provide it? So if you're known for something, if you have a specific knowledge base or skill set that your audience just cannot get enough of from you, I would say start there. And whether that's an ebook that you can sell that's downloadable, because that's easy to find a platform for, or whether it's produced course type videos, there are multiple platforms available for that as well. And it's kind of finding the best ones. There's Podia, there's Kajabi, there's, what are a couple other ones that we looked at?
ClickFunnels, but it's expensive.
ClickFunnels. Like there are several platforms already built for you to host courses. And if you don't want to build your own course on a platform, look at Podia. Maybe a percentage share is great for you.
Sorry. Podia.
Patreon. Thank you. Look at Patreon, because that's already built for this exact type of platform. I think there are resources now that are just out there waiting to help you. So think about what you're known for. Think about, what your audience is asking for. Maybe it is an Instagram poll with opinionated people, or you already have a Facebook group that you run and operate, but, get feedback, send an email. And, what do you know me the most for? What are your friends asking you for information about? And, just start your mind thinking about what that would look like in terms of a value-driven course that you could sell.
I think one thing we talk about a lot to people is, I think a lot of people hold back from wanting to do something like this because it's already been done, or someone's already doing it, or this or that. But so people follow you for a reason. They love your voice. They love the way you present things. They love your ideas. So you're already doing something in a way that is your own, and people want access to that. So like, just go at it with full confidence that it'll be successful if you go at it with that confidence of knowing that that's already there, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're certainly not the first like online barbecue class to happen. We're not.
I forget who said it. I wish I could remember, but I think it was in the IACP group on Facebook that someone was talking about like having your voice and that your fans want your voice. And they kept getting like email requests for like a chicken parm recipe or something. And they're like, I don't have one. And people kept saying like, well, you need to do one. And eventually she said like, wrote back to them. I was like, why do you care? Like you can Google chicken parm. Like there are thousands and thousands of recipes out there. And they said, yeah, I don't want a chicken parm recipe. I want your chicken parm recipe.
Yep.
And they're just like, that really resonated of that's what your fans are looking for. Your take on these things, your method, the way that you share this information. And that's what they care about. Not just if anyone else is doing it, you're not doing it yet. So you still have a good opportunity.
Exactly.
Are there any gotchas you ran into, mistakes you made while you're building this community?
Oh my gosh, everything. Yes. I mean, we initially launched with a plugin on WordPress that ended up crashing the ads on our site and, crashing our website because we didn't know. And back then, I also think that
Paid Memberships Pro on your website. Don't do that.
That's definitely not what I mean about getting off the ad network the treadmill. You can keep your ads.
Yeah, we just broke it.
Yeah. During Christmas.
Oh yeah, Q4. It was great. It was fine. Anyway, yeah, so we broke that. We initially launched with a yearly renewal fee and ended up scrapping that. Now it's a one-time fee.
Because of COVID, our second launch was on March 9th. And
2 days before COVID.
Yeah.
And so when the yearly renewals were hitting, we're like, we can't charge people anything right now. Like that's absolutely crazy. So anyway, we have a lot of legacy members that came in at a lower price point that they were supposed to pay every year. And now we just have a one-time yearly fee for those joining. Let's see, what else? Everything. We had a wait list situation where we only opened enrollment for 5 days a month. And we tried that for a year. Now enrollment's open all the time. Basically, every aspect of designing, implementing, and marketing the Grill Squad has been fraught with disaster. And it's still considered a success for us. So I would just say like, it's going to be a little bit difficult and your audience is going to be different than everybody else's audience. And I could have taken a course on building courses and probably learned a lot of things and avoided several mistakes, but we really got to know our audience through that process. And the mistakes we made led us to something bigger and better that was more well-suited to who we are and the time that we're willing to invest in the Grill Squad and to our audience and how they purchase. So it got us to where we needed it to be. But yes, we made every mistake in the absolute worst way as we built it.
We even have a current member who reached out to us and said, hey, I actually build courses for a living and would love to consult with you guys. And
He's
so
like, can I fix it?
We've hired him to help us fix it even better. So we're excited.
So yes, we've made all the mistakes and we're still happy and loving it. So it's fine.
I love that. Dive in there, do it. You'll make mistakes. It'll still work out. And as long as you communicate with your fans, they are generally within reason. They will be fine and roll with the punches.
Oh, and I can't even explain to you when Todd went on and just did a quick live to the Grill Squad and said, hey, it's time to re-up your charges and we're not doing it. We just are grateful you guys are here. So if you get an email, it's just like, we're resetting the system. You're not canceled. And the response that he got, everyone was so appreciative of that clear communication. Everyone was so supportive. And these are people that want to see you succeed. They want to see you win. These are people who cook your recipes for their family at Thanksgiving. These are people that make your recipes for their grandkids' birthday party. These people want you to succeed and they're on your side and they're cheering for you and they're supporting you.
We have multiple people say, what's your guys' Venmo or PayPal? We'll just
send you cash.
We'll send you the money for this next year. We're like, no, it's fine.
Please
We're
don't
good.
do that. I don't want to deal with the taxes on that. But the reality is that when you build a community that you show up for, they're willing to show up for you too. And that clear communication is key. And through all of our mistakes and foibles, we have really tried to communicate with them clearly what was going on and why. And we've never received anything but positive feedback. So it's been a really fun process for us. It's been super fulfilling.
Yep.
Your fans like to see that you are real people and you are human and you're going through all the struggles as well.
Yep, certainly.
Speaking of showing up for things, you had mentioned you're excited for live events to start up again, and specifically mentioned like the Steak Cook-Off Association events. How have you found doing live events? Has it helped your blog or your business move forward?
I am the type, I love big crowds and big events, but I kind of stress out about them. And so Todd is always the one that says, let's get out, let's go do it. Like, it's really great for the brand. It's really great for, just to be a contributing part of a community. It's easier for me behind a computer screen, to be honest with you. And so getting out into these smaller community events has been a challenge, but I feel like it has really solidified our position and our brand's position in this community, in this niche community of barbecue. And, we're more than just a blog for the backyard home cook when we show up with our products and sponsor a competition. It helps us cross over to new audiences. It helps introduce our brand to people that probably hadn't heard of us before. So I think it's been really beneficial, maybe less so from, the ad revenue side and people visiting our website, but definitely on the product side of things. Because when people can connect you with your product, it's like we've been talking about the whole time. Like, people want to see you and they want to hear from you and they want to know you. So when we can make those in-person connections and they have a relationship in mind associated with the physical product, I think it's really helped establish our brand over the last even just few months.
100%. Yep.
What type of events do you look for to be involved in?
Anybody that asks, basically, right now.
Yeah, the last year was pretty quiet. So we did a few virtual things, but things are really picking up for the summer, it looks like. So we got invited to go to Memphis in May, which is a big
It's a barbecue competition,
Yeah.
which is, we typically don't do a lot of competitive barbecue stuff. So this is going to be a fun one and a little bit outside of our wheelhouse. I'm going to go cook in San Diego.
Classes, yeah.
For like a cooking class at a brewery that's hosted by a female-led barbecue catering company that wants to get more females out cooking barbecue. So that'll be a different audience than I typically present to. And our product company is sponsoring an entire series of steak cook-off competitions throughout the summer. So that's really fun. We get to go hang out at the barbecue competitions and meet a lot of people in that space.
So yeah, we're sponsoring. So we're basically paying for the awards and the trophies is what we're sponsoring. And then so we get our logo on all the advertising for that series. There's 7 cook-offs throughout this year, and our logos everywhere. They talk about us to the whole crowd and say thank you, and we're there. We're wearing our shirts. We're signed up as official judges through the Steak Cook-Off Association. So we're judging the cooks. We're there. We're involved. We're talking to everybody. I had someone pull me aside. He's probably a nationally ranked in this SCA, and he pulled me aside and he's like, "Thank you guys so much. Like, you're one of the, you're a big reason why this is. You're going to be a part of a big reason why this is growing so well." And just as someone who comes out to these and competes in these, we really appreciate you guys being involved and being here. And just hearing that from him meant a lot, because he's kind of a rough and grumble guy, and like, but really well respected in the cook-off community. He's always winning everything. And so just that kind of stuff it just means a lot. And I can see how that translates to the brand and how it'll eventually translate into, better product sales. And, there's just,
I will say though, it's like running 2 different businesses, because we have the Hey Grill Hey, Susie Bulloch personality. I get paid for my appearances. I get paid to teach classes and host live events as a personality. Product company, Todd's like, "Man, you got to go do this." And it's like, for free, we're paying to be there, like at a lot of things. So there's like this hilarious dichotomy that we get to battle, where like one is almost like funding the other. So like my Hey Grill Hey appearances is Susie Bulloch, where I teach corporate cooking classes, and I've done live virtual events this year. And, in just a couple of weeks, we filmed and recorded a 45-minute event that I'm presenting at for a corporate class. And like I said, the San Diego cooking class, like these are all things that I get paid for. And I'm like, yes, this is work that I do. And it's part of the revenue source for Hey Grill Hey. And then the product company calls and says, hey, we need you to go over here and stand in this parking lot for 4 hours.
They got to use their best asset, right?
Yeah.
So it is kind of fun.
I'm very persuasive.
He is very persuasive. But it is really fun, you know, having the opportunity to advertise for ourselves and to pitch for ourselves and to be, you know, the influencer marketing campaign for our own products. And that was another reason that we ended up launching our stuff. And we actually don't do a lot of sponsored things anymore, is because, you know, if I'm going to be using my platform to influence people to buy certain things or use certain products, like I want them to be our products and I want them to be my products. So it's been a really fun process to see both sides, because now I get to be on the influencer side, you know, with brands reaching out to me, and I get to be on the brand side that's utilizing influencer marketing to grow their product. So it's like, it's this whole full circle thing.
That's great, Bill, to be on both sides of the aisle and kind of just see how the other half lives some of the time.
It's a very unique perspective, and it gives me a lot of respect for these companies that are, you know, just grassroots out there hustling, trying to grow a brand, because it feels a lot like blogging. When I first started my blog, and we've been blogging for 6 years now, and I have been able to grow the blog to a really, you know, relative level of success within the food blogging space from an ad revenue perspective, et cetera. And so to start over with it really just feel like starting over with a second company and to build this up from the ground up. It's really fulfilling, and it's fun to be able to do it again. And it's cool to be able to, you know, to see both sides of it.
Well, I appreciate you coming on today, sharing some of your stories, sharing all of your expertise about the amazing things that you've done. If any of the listeners want to get more from you, they can head to heygrillhey.com or find you on social media at heygrillhey. Susie and Todd, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. I learned a lot. I'm sure my listeners will have learned a lot as well.
Yeah, thanks so much for having us. This was fun.
Thank you.
And thanks to everyone for listening. This has been Makin Bacon. We're all about helping you serve your fans, grow your income, and get the most out of your blog. Till next time, I'm Jason Logston.